The main character of this story found herself sitting on her knees on the pavement, outside a building. She was very surprised and did not understand what was happening. Her only thought was, maybe I'm imagining things. Out of the blue, she heard a voice. This voice was that of a young boy who said, "I am a messenger of the god of Aftanis." The girl wondered, a messenger of God? Is it really an angel? Eyes upward, she saw this boy floating in the air. "Congratulations! You've gotten your chance at a proposal," said the angel boy. "Really?" "Died," the girl kept saying. "Really? That's so stupid after all my agony." The girl's training consisted of working in an office where there was a very strict boss. She began to remember what had happened. "Bickering!" her boss shouted. "You better say thank you. You don't even have a proper college degree. If you can't do your job anymore, just say so. In other words, I'll find a replacement for you right away," the boss said. In the end, the girl's day-to-day was no different from her typical routine. In her bleak routine, once again she had been up all night. Man, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, she thought. We should get her back to the office before Puck's manager gets here. She was in the store. Better hurry up, she thought, and sped up, hurrying toward the exit. The girl was born with a golden spoon in her mouth, but it is simply impossible to live with such brothers and father. She should run away from this house as soon as possible. The girl was very much tormented by doubts and the question of why the hell to run away from a rich family with a handsome father and the same handsome brothers. She chased bad thoughts from her head, because she reasoned with herself. She received a diamond mine as a gift today, so the question is, why does she want to run away? Writes a message to him, "Your place, I won't run away. I'll just live my life." And then the angel boy indignantly says to the girl, "Hey, can you hear me? You got a chance to be reborn. Can't you at least pretend to be excited?" Reading such novellas was and will forever be my only outlet in life. "I got hit by that isekai truck. I thought that only happened in novels," the girl thought. Explanation. The isekai truck is a legendary truck from the novella, after colliding with which a person is reborn in a fantasy world. I wouldn't expect anything less from you. And really have read a lot of novellas. No wonder the choice fell on you. Use your knowledge to properly enjoy the world our God created. The angel boy bowed, saying all this to the girl. World Aftain studied a lot of data, but he borrowed most of the details from love fiction novels. So wait, who created a world based on the novellas? Doesn't really know anything about them, though. The girl was indignant. Is he even sane? The angel boy turned to the girl. So, how about it? I mean just a perfect world for a Lufin like you. Would you want to be reborn there? No, the girl replied and continued. Do you think I would want to go to a world created from the short stories of a madman who has nothing in that doesn't know the first thing about these novels? But you yourself left a comment about wanting to take the place of the main character, the boy said. For an angel, he's a little too easygoing. No respect at all, the girl thought. And anyway, why is the chance for rebirth being offered to me specifically? She asked. Underneath all the novellas our God read A and Thanes were your comments, the boy replied. Not only have your comments always been at the top, but they also contain objective criticism of the main characters. That's why we thought you would settle into the world created by Aftanis in no time, Angel Boy said. Does this god have an attention deficit or something? The girl asked. I don't even have to live in his world. I get 0 stars. Well, since there are no more questions, then you are ready to be reborn, the girl wondered. The answers didn't reassure her at all. Boy, only more suspicion arose. Well, I'm dead, she said, which means there's nothing more to lose. What's she so worried about anyway? She's very familiar with the world of novels. I mean, she's read dozens of chapters in a month. She wondered what she would do if she was reborn as a slave villain who would be beheaded in a couple chapters, or part of the crowd, to be used and then thrown out. Does this angel really think that his assurances in the style of "you'll get used to it in no time" will be enough for me to agree with a smile? Thought the girl. Why hesitate? You yourself wanted to live in any world on a fantasy novel. Not just any world on a fantasy novel, the girl repeated. What else? The angel boy asked. As I wrote in that comment, I want to be born with a golden spoon in my mouth, namely into a rich family with a handsome dad and handsome brothers. How capricious you are, the boy replied. It's actually the basis of the basics of romance novels, she said. All right, So be it, replied the angel boy. Besides, my family should almost carry me in their arms, the girl added. That's something you don't see in short stories. The heroines gradually win the love of the people around them, the angel said. What do you mean, no? Remember, lady baby, the girl said. But her story begins after the whole family dies, if you want the same. No, I rambled something stupid. I'll think about it some more, the girl said. So, are you ready to be reborn again now? Angel Boy interjected. Look, all the main characters seem to have some kind of special ability. Well, either they're freakishly smart. The boy rolled his eyes and thought it was about time someone rolled their lip. He said, don't worry. Since we're giving you a chance to be reborn, we won't deny you the ability either. A rebirth into a heroine with a handsome dad and an equally handsome brother. Plus, one with a special ability. Our protagonist and the universe thought and really decided to reward her for a life where she plowed like a horse. I won't say she was a saint, but she had seen a lot and suffered enough. All right, I'll be reborn. At least something good happened in my life, she said. So the deal is done, said the angel boy. A deal? But it's only made by... And then she realizes he's not an angel. He's the devil. I only make deals with the devil. I want to cancel the deal. Take it back the way it was. But her response is, too late. The deal's already done. Gotta find out one last thing, the girl thought, and cried out, What is my ability? Devil Boy replied, very grinning, well, she's just perfect for you. Hey, she shouted, if you're talking about my talent for lying to crooks, I'll get you from under the ground. You don't have to worry, the Devil Boy said. You're mine. And then, in the blink of an eye, everything is reborn before us. We see a very big, beautiful palace, a new day, and now we're trying to figure out who our main character has been reborn into in this novella. She's been given like a second chance. A palace. A little girl is sitting on her knees with a small girl in her hands and a bucket of water beside her, scrubbing the floor. She is very angry. Fucking devil's a con man, thought the girl, our protagonist. Where's my handsome father? What about my handsome brother? The promised golden spoon. Not so much a golden spoon, it's not even a wooden one. There was a girl crying on the floor. Maybe I shouldn't have been reborn after all, she thought. Just then she heard a voice from behind her. Sitting idle again? What are you? Gone to your worthless mother, the girl replied. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you. Coming down the steps, the man kicked the bucket of water and said, You can't even clean the hall. The girl, our protagonist, replied, I'll clean everything. Uncle, she said. How dare you call me your uncle? The man shouted. I mean Marquise, corrected the girl. Know your place, he said. That's why Daddy left you. God knows if you're the Duke's real daughter, though, he said. A little preface about our heroine. When I was reborn again, I made a really luxurious house and thought, indeed, I was born in a good family. Now I'll be living instead of surviving. I might even have a family. I'll be loved. I can hope for a happy ending, just like in a fairy tale. I felt so happy, except... Daddy, what are you doing there? Said the girl, coming into the hall, where our girl protagonist is sitting on the floor. Mo, said the floor, and her uncle Marquis. My cousin Glacia. If we were in a novella, she would be the main character. And I'm still a nobody even here. Tia, what are you doing here? Marquis said. Papa, you mustn't torment her like that. Ah, my Tia, the very kindness of times worries even about a filthy brat, replied the Marquis. Oh, I hope you remember it's my birthday soon, Tia said. Of course I remember. That's why I had her scrub the whole place down. You don't have to hold the reception in such a huge hall, Tia said. Don't be silly, your celebration has to happen in a big way, her father Marquis replied. Gee, Dad, Tia replied. Our main character, she asked. Are you okay? The girl, the protagonist, replied. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, Tia said. Good luck to you then. She turned around and walked off. That dirty water made my shoes dirty. Don't worry, we'll buy you new ones, said Father Marquis. Yay, Dad, you're the best, shouted Tia and ran outside. I was very upset, and I thought, okay, I've got to finish cleaning, and went to my room to sleep. Only the girl lay down on the bed, as she hears a voice. Here not even really cleaned up, deprived of dinner for a week, I realized. I'll only eat once a day now, the girl thought. There's no need to shed tears. A voice answered her. It was Tia. She had come into her room and decided to wise up. We can feed you at our own expense just because you are my cousin. It's not fair to the servants, Papa often says. Who doesn't work? Tia said. As she was leaving, she added, Next time, try harder. You must do your duties properly. And actually, you should be grateful. Your father dumped you on us and the money didn't. So at least work off your food, she realized. The girl, our protagonist, had already begun to see her uncles in an orderly tone. No matter how much you eat, no matter how much money we spend on you, your own father doesn't even want you. He doesn't forget that we took you under our wing out of the kindness of our hearts. Did I really get dumped because of that devil and our deals? Promised that I'd be born with a golden spoon in my mouth, that he'd give me strength, that he'd give me a daddy and a brother. Family. I was so hoping to finally have one. Oh, where did the tears come from all of a sudden? There's no medicine and my body is getting weaker every day. It must be asking to die. No, you can't give slack. It would be a shame to die in the midst of such injustice, said the protagonist. The main character is sure to survive in this world, even with a 0 rating. The next day has come. It is Tia's birthday. The voices of the guests are heard in the palace. Tia, happy birthday! You look radiant. The dress is so luxurious that one would never call it childish. The Marquis adores his daughter, so they often spoil her with expensive dresses. They say her dress costs like a mansion, and he buys her one every year. She is very much loved. Unlike me, thought the girl, the main character. She stood in the hall and watched everyone congratulating Tia. While all the guests were standing around, showing off Tia's dress, she accidentally dropped a piece of cake on the floor. My shoes! Tia exclaimed. What are you standing there for? Wipe it up right now. Marquis pointed his finger at the heroine and at the floor where the piece of cake had fallen. The girl bent down to wipe, but she had no rag. She turned to the servants who were standing by for help, but they did not even move. I see, she thought. Apparently the Marquis ordered them not to help me. What are you frozen for? Shouted Marquis. Disobeying again. Was a week's fast not enough for you, or did you have to whip harder? Tia held out her foot with her shoes, which were smeared with cake, and told her to wipe them to make them shine. The girl took her sleeve and started wiping the shoes with it. Surely important to the plot, isn't it? Wiping her shoe with her sleeve. The girl and crying. If I remember correctly, and then she took notice that there was a man in the audience, immediately drew attention to him. He said, My daughter doesn't have golden hair. Everyone began to whisper. Someone said, Duke Farraton. I turned around and thought, wow. A tall man with hair blacker than darkness and eyes redder than freshly spilled blood. In a short story, he would be described in those exact words. But also, Daddy left you, Marquise had once said to her. He is that person, the girl said, looking up and seeing him. Everyone started whispering. Someone said, You were. Isn't there a duke on the Western Front? Replied, I've already finished there. What's already finished? But I heard, and then the duke interrupted. Do you think I have so much free time to talk to you here? To waste it on a handful of pathetic worms? Oh, that you just wanted to ask. Why did you suddenly decide to come to us, without even warning of your visit? Asked the duke. The duke came up and asked, What is that? What is that gaunt little rat? The Marquis replied, She works in our house. Don't tell me the Duke of Farraton's daughter looks that awful. It's an outrageously undignified sight. Of course, the girl thought. He wouldn't believe that such a wretched girl was his own daughter. Still, though, could you take me with you? The girl said. Like this? Interjected what? I know I'm dirty, I just need to wash, said the girl. I can cook and clean. I'll work off the food that feeds me every day. I'll shine your shoes to a dazzling shine. And also, I don't wish to stay here any longer. I really want to go home, the girl said, crying. Absurd, Daddy, she shouted. You're my daddy, she repeated again. Whimpering, she said, Klatya has Marquis and I have you, and continues to cry. Take me away from here. She came over, hugging his legs. The Duke took the girl by the scruff of her neck and lifted her in front of him. She screamed, Oh, I'm going to fall. He looked at her and said, Back to your courtier. As you say, sir. Turning around, he walked towards the exit with the girl. Oh, I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm awake. He's walking with me, the girl thought. God, am I finally going to get out of this nightmare place? With only a few steps to go, something happened. While the girl thought her daddy hadn't abandoned her, the thought tore T's dress. T screamed, "My dress! My dress! My dress!" as it fell to the floor, and the dress. Everyone rushed to her. Oh, mistress with screams. The girl had only one surprised look in her eyes, thinking, what's he doing all of a sudden? Did he do it? But how did he do it? You have no nerve at all to encroach on what you have no right to, said the Duke. Why doesn't the Marquis even resent it? As if he was really guilty of something, thought the girl. It's over. Tia's birthday party is over. The girl is in the beautiful chambers with the question, what time is it? In reply, she heard the governesses say, Miss, you are awake. Yes, said the girl. Good morning. A dish of water was served for the girl to wash herself. As she washed her face, thoughts overcame her. When zero emotion, she thought, though I doubt she hates me or ignores me on purpose. The thoughts were made. It had been 10 days since the girl had entered the Duchy of Faraton. Here is the text with corrections and punctuation. The legs were completely healed. Her health was restored very quickly. It feels like she is even healthier than she was before she got sick. More beautiful. Except I never saw the Duke half the day, the girl said, looking in the mirror. I don't really feel like it, though. Suddenly, memories come flooding back. The girl remembers asking to take her daddy away. She's very ashamed. I can only afford to worry about such small things because I have a good life now, she reflected. No one beats me. I don't starve. I would like to continue living here. And to do that, we must first find out who the Duke is. Justice, protection, peace. That's not what he's about. I think, on the contrary, he strikes me as a villain. There are 2 types of villains in the novellas. Villains like the Marquis, who should definitely be executed. Veterans whose soul is darkness, but who, in fact, turn out to be human. Based on these thoughts, it is immediately clear that our Duke is a Type 2 villain. In this regard, she is very lucky. She's finally going to have some happy days in her life. I wish I could just relax, but I never got any of that stuff that the devil promised me, the girl said, and lay down on the bed. She had so much to think about that she fell asleep with thoughts of finding out what kind of man this Duke was. First, she must work off the food that was being fed to her. The girl grabbed a rag and ran to wash the windows. It's my duty. It's the governess's. They rushed after her, saying they can do it themselves. She doesn't need to wash the windows. And yet I myself promised the Duke that I would make myself useful, the girl kept saying aloud as she rubbed the windows to a shine. One of the governesses said, There must have been a misunderstanding. You are the gentleman's daughter after all, so you don't have to clean, do or work here. If I could live here just because I am the Duke's daughter, I would have been here a long time ago, the girl thought. I was abandoned by my mom, my dad. A child who has been abandoned will never be truly family again. Miss kept saying, What are you talking about? You're wrong. Just then the Duke came into the room saying, What are you doing here? Upon seeing the girl rubbing a rag on the windows. When she turned around, she saw the Duke standing in front of her. He's not usually home at this time, she thought. Why exactly is he back so early today? I decided to clean my room properly, she replied. The Duke clutched his head, saying, What told you to do that? The girl replied, I promised myself that I would work off the food, didn't I? The Duke took the girl in his arms and said, My God, she is still skin and bones. The girl was very frightened, thinking she was about to be thrown out into the street. No, please, cried the girl. The Duke took the girl in his arms and carried her to the dining room, where he seated her at the table and said, Eat. There were many dishes on the table. The girl began to eat it all, tasted one dish, then another, hurried to get enough to eat. But then she stopped abruptly. The Duke asked her, Why have you stopped? Is that really all you can do with eat? The girl's mouth was terribly full. She couldn't even say anything. Well, in her head, she was thinking that it's hard to even swallow what's already in her mouth. It doesn't fit anymore. My stomach is going to explode now. But here she was very frightened, if in thought, If I don't eat more, I'll just be thrown out and executed at once. Should I do it? This is my limit. I can't eat another bite. Here the conversation between the Duke and the girl was interrupted by the governess. She said, Your lordship, I beg your pardon for interrupting you. Bending down before the Duke, she said, however, our miss has a smaller stomach than the other children. If she makes herself eat one more bite, she will get indigestion, and then her stomach will hurt for a long time. The Duke hesitated and said, Name? My name is Anna, replied the governess. So she's Anna, the girl wondered. We see each other every day, and I just now recognized her name. Hertzak continued. From now on, you will be her personal maid. The maid leaned over to the Duke and said, Yes, my lord. The girl thought in surprise. My personal maid? Then she asked the Duke, Can I stay here? Hertzak replied, That is a silly question. Throwing your daughter out just after you've brought her home yourself isn't very pretty, and he's sure to have aristocratic honor. I should have known sooner. Only you were afraid for nothing, so you can't eat any more? Hertzak asked, nodding her head, saying no, and the girl was silent for a while, and she thought, A minute ago I was at least that. Food. And now we're sitting and being silent. It's become terribly awkward. An adjutant came into the room and said, I apologize. However, in view of your early arrival at home, they want to see you at the Imperial Palace as well. Good. Get the horses ready, said the Duke, rising from the table. It turns out he didn't come in the evening because he finished his work early, thought the girl. As she left, the Duke said, Don't you dare take up again the foolish things you did today. The girl replied, Okay, but thought to herself, I actually wiped the windows clean, but whatever. The girl went to her room, lay down on her bed, calmed down, and sighed. Well, since I'm really staying, I don't have to worry about survival anymore. They feed on time and even have hot water. At that instant, her maid entered the room and said,
Miss, I hope you finally believe that the master is not going to kick you out.
The girl replied, Yes, after all, the reputation of the duchy depends on it. You no longer need to perform a job, a favor. You are still quite young, her servant Anna. You are the Lord's only daughter, so don't worry and think only good thoughts, Anna said. So you were worried about me? Said the girl, and the maids replied, Of course we were worried. Well, you didn't talk to me, said the girl. The girl said, I thought you would not like it if I spoke to you. I thought you would find me so disagreeable. Yes, how could we? Said the governesses. Do you really want to talk to us? The girls bent down in front of the girl, and she said, Yes. Young Miss is different from the other young gentlemen. Yes, she's just like an ordinary child, said Nancy. And then she quickly corrected herself and said, I apologize, miss. I didn't mean to offend you. That's okay. I like being ordinary, the girl said. But to herself she thought, well, considering my rebirth, I can hardly be called ordinary. Nancy said, Gosh, you're so good to us. When the governesses dispersed, the girl, sitting down on the bed, thought, I felt for the first time maybe full of warmth and light. We're a little uncomfortable with each other. It's still so joyful at heart. Only daughter family. Can we be called family because we live under the same roof? If I am indeed Duke Faraton's true daughter, as Anna said, there is nothing to worry about, girl. Bad thoughts were still going through her head, and the girl was reminded of Marquis's words. Your prodigal mother must have given birth to you by someone else. I've never really seen my mother, only heard about her from others. I don't have the magic that the Faraton family has in me. That devil promised me power, but he didn't keep his word. The Duke's husband has dark hair and blood-red eyes, and I have pink curls whose color is like the color of spring petals, turquoise eyes, innocent face. I am nothing like the Duke. Friend Marquis was right, the girl reasoned, looking in the mirror. I'll end up an illegitimate child, banishment alone. It probably won't end. Duke Faraton is a tyrant, a black soul, a villain. So that's what my Lufin radar tells me. What to stay alive, you have to do your best. And what if he becomes attached to me, as he really is to his beloved daughter? He will not drive me away. I know exactly what to do in such a case. Still, I am a true fan of love fiction novellas who has read thousands of titles. It's the next morning. The girl stands in front of the closed doors and adjusts herself to go in, saying that everything will work out. After all, the protagonists of the novella are always very bold. She knows the Duke doesn't like her, but then he approaches her himself. It's working out for her to calm down. I guess I'll count to 10, calm down and come in. Suddenly the door opens and the adjutant says, Miss, the Duke asked you to come in. How did he know I had come? Wondered the girl. I'm going into the room. She saw the Duke sitting in an armchair, in front of a table on which there were many letters and papers. The girl runs into the room with the words, Daddy, a big smile on her face. The Duke falls into his lap, hugs his legs, and says, I've missed you so much. But the girl did not notice that there were many other people in the office, and everyone resented her action. She didn't understand. She thought, what did I do wrong? Why are people reacting so indignantly? When the indignation subsided, the Duke interjected. Bored, I take it you were during our meal? Out of the corner of his eye, he remarked. Well, who can eat in peace when they look at him like that? Thought the girl. But she said no, it was fine. I was just a little embarrassed, and it's been so long since I've seen you, and held out her arms to the Duke. So now I want to be around you all the time so that the awkwardness goes away. We need to be together more often, the girl said. We need to spend time together so he will become attached to me. When the Duke finds out I'm not his own, he won't kill me. Good plan. I thought of that, the girl thought. She was overjoyed that the Duke wasn't kicking her out or rejecting her, and forgot what she was even doing. She touched something, and it felt so good. She allowed herself to think of something very soft under her palms, apparently pure silk. And yet it's strange to feel the warmth of his skin so distinctly, even through his clothes. Immediately she stopped herself. I need to calm down. I'm hardly holding him, and she opens her eyes and sees that her hands are on his. He's already a father, but his skin has been preserved to the hilt, just like a baby's. And then with a blink, she sees the sign in front of his face. Terms met. Verification of the identity of the reader who made a deal with Aftonis. Verification complete. What is this? She thought indignantly, and this one said, Awakened ability, haste and money. I was so scared I started glitching, thought the girl. A name came to mind before her eyes. I'll never forget it. It was the devil talking about him, the con man who swindled me, who was telling me about rebirth. Okay. Abilities, okay. And he ended up giving me the haste and money ability. Sounds like I'm going to borrow money from loan sharks and embarrass the whole family. So that instead of that strength, the Duke interjected, soft as a baby's. Did I really just say that out loud? The girl thought with a smile. Just then, the Duke took the girl in his arms and placed her on his knee. What is it? She was very much surprised, and he touched her cheek with his finger. And how is that to be understood? Is trying to love his daughter like this? When an adult cheeks a child, the affection between them definitely increases, she thought. I guess he thinks I'm cute. And it didn't take long for the Duke to realize. He said, You look like an angry fugu fish. That was the end of the meeting, and taking the girl in his arms, the Duke left, and went wandering around the kingdom, corridors, rooms, all the time carrying the girl in his arms until the evening. And when evening came, he brought the girl to the servants and said, Wash her. Very indignant, Why wash? I'm clean. She began to sniff herself. He's been carrying me around in his arms all day. Did my words that I said to make the awkwardness go away need to be together more often? No, that doesn't make sense. You don't have to, the girl thought. And Anna leaned over to the girl and said, Well, miss, are you ready for a swim? The girl said, Yes. Besides, now's not the time to think about that, she thought. I have another problem to solve. On WhatsApp, when I got distracted by the Duke, the notification window disappeared. Now, how do I call it up again? Because of the Duke, I didn't have time to read everything. And then, as she was thinking very hard about it, she had that sign in front of her eyes again. It says, You have unread notifications. Would you like to read it? Same thing to do, just reply, the girl said. She said, Yes. After her reply, a transcript appeared on the screen. Your ability to use haste and money is impossible. This is your promised ability. The conditions for its detection were quite easy, so it was expected that you would be able to do it much faster. We hope you have not insulted the Honorable Aftonis, or accused him of cheating. Wait, what were the conditions? Really touching the Duke's face? This ability is perfect for you. Use it wisely, the girl read to the end. She exclaimed, Oh, it's the F-Cash effect ability. You are able to become the main character of the novella you've been reading. You are able to retrieve and use the abilities of the main character of the novella. The ability retrieval is randomized. Summon a novel I've been reading. Extract the abilities of its heroine. Gosh, there's a lot of information here, the girl said. Unreal cool. If I unlock this ability, the question of survival will be gone forever. I can conquer the whole world with it. I can do it, thought the girl. Farewell, my suffering days. Well, what cash and summon attribute are, I don't understand. But a new assignment. A notification popped up from this window. The assignment reads something like this: Prove your worth. And it also reads, Dear reader, you're not enjoying yourself quite so much there anymore. You're too naive. Things are far from simple in the world of love fiction novels. We hope you're not too disappointed. Don't let your guard down, even in your sleep. Don't forget that this world is extremely dangerous, she thought, and continued reading. Your ability is not fully developed. Try to develop it by your own efforts, proving its worth. Conditions for obtaining the summoning attribute are a reward of 500 cachet units. Interesting. As difficult as it is, I still take it. I clicked my finger on this box and it said, You have accepted the assignment. Great, but how do I get a summon attribute in novellas? Attributes are usually very rare and expensive items. For example, the national treasure of an empire or the relic of a shrine. Maybe even the treasure of a magic tower. Or a family relic, passed down from generation to generation in aristocratic families. I am, in fact, the family relic of the Ferroton family. It's the only thing I can look for right now. I hope it's around here somewhere. Even if it is here, how do I get to it? Ask the Duke to give it to me? Even among the family heirlooms, there might not be a summoning attribute. Okay, when I wake up, I'm gonna look for that relic. I need to make a plan. And finally the girl fell asleep. You are awake, miss, the girl replied. It is the morning of the next day. Anna, are you the one who tucked me in? The girl asked her maid. No, we don't go into your room when you are asleep, replied Anna. Apparently I got under the covers myself, the girl said. Would you like to change? The room was entered by all the governesses, and the girl said, Good morning, sisters. Good morning, miss. They laughed and smiled. The girl went to the table and saw a lot of jewelry on it. Wow, she said. It's beautiful. It's all shining so brightly. Tight, aren't they? And these also match your eye color, Anna said. Would you like a similar hair clip? It suits you very well. But the girl replied that the hairpin looked too expensive, and she couldn't possibly accept it. Anna exclaimed, What are you talking about? You deserve to wear as much expensive jewelry as you want. The girls supported the governess by saying, That's right, and you can even wear something more expensive. Here's my chance, thought the girl. Really, there's a place in the manor where all these shiny things are collected. I must make as innocent a face as possible, said the governesses. Of course, there are plenty of rooms like that. Yes, there are plenty of rooms like that. Man, so many. And I wanted them to show them to me. And then the governess said, Would you like to see them? May I? Replied the girl. Of course you may, replied Anna. If I can get into the best of these rooms where the family relic is hidden. The girl said, When I lived with my sister Tia, I wasn't even allowed to stand near such things. They called me a dirty thief, kept telling me I wanted to steal something. Think I'm really allowed to look at them, the girl said, and she had this look on her face, innocent, that the governesses clutched their faces and began to cry. The girl wonderfully could not understand what was happening to them. Nancy ran up to the girl, put her arms around her and said, Please don't make that face. Anna screamed, Nancy, you can't do that. And the girl thought, What was wrong with my face? Nancy, hugging, says, Our dear miss, so small and fragile, quite a baby. I'm okay, because now I have my sisters around me who are worried about me, the girl said. Everyone was hugging and stroking the girl's head. She was very happy about it. This is the first time this has ever happened to me, she thought. Miss, since we're giving you a tour of the manor, the first thing you should see is the most luxurious place. We're going with you to the manor's sanctum sanctorum. The Marquis of Terenko's treasury is probably nowhere near the sanctuary of our hurts, Anna said. And the girl asked again, Can we go there? Miss, you are a member of the Duke's family after all, so you are allowed to enter. However, you can only take anything out of there with the permission of the Lord. The girl thought to herself, Not surprising, but at least it's a way to see the treasure. At least I'll be able to check if there's a summoning attribute among the Duke's family treasures. While they were talking among themselves, the girl was dressed in a beautiful gown, and then a courtier came into the room. "I beg your pardon, miss," he said. "His lordship wishes to breakfast with you," said the courtier. "Why should I?" raged the girl, for she had other plans for today. The girl came, sat down at the table, and began to eat. I can't eat a bite, she thought. The girl and the Duke sit in silence, eating at the table. There is silence in the dining room. No, I need to get used to the Duke, or there will be no progress, she thought. There's something to say, but what is it? Oh, bon appetit, papa! And a big smile to go with it. So the girl heard nothing in reply. She thought she was trying for nothing. Okay, I'll just eat then, she said, for everything is so delicious, and there are so many dishes on the table again. Oh, dessert, how delicious! Pudding, I love it, I'm in heaven, thought the girl, and finished the last bite. Oh, I've eaten it all, it was pudding and it's gone. The girl became sad as she heard, "Here you go." She looked back and sees the Duke holding out his hand to her with a dessert, a pudding just like the one she had just eaten. The girl thought he was ignoring her, but he wasn't. Should I ask the Duke for a little taste of the pudding? All right, well, I've been there, but it's worth a try. I have to increase his affection for me. The girl broke off a piece of pudding with a spoon, and put the piece in her mouth without offering it to the Duke. I changed my mind. Just said, "Thank you for the pudding," and finished it off. What makes me think I know how a real father and daughter behave? I've never had a dad. "So why aren't you sticking to me?" came the phrase. The girl thought, what's the Duke talking about? And then something happened that the girl did not expect at all. The Duke reached out his arms to her and embraced her. The Duke took the girl in his arms and carried her somewhere. Scared me, she thought. Speaking of which, when she wakes up, the Duke is no longer in the manor. Did he really decide to wait for her today? What if he has some kind of conversation with the girl? The Duke brought the girl to his study and began to attend to work matters. What on earth is this anyway? Resented the girl. Though the speculation was certainly there. He's doing it because of those words of mine about wanting to be near him. It seems the Duke has no intention of harming me, although his face is always intimidating. And he gave up his pudding to me too, with the same intimidating face. Oh, something I doubt, thought the girl. Everything seems to be going according to the survival plan. See each other often, smile often, increase affection. Which means I should continue to follow it, thought the girl. But then why am I so shy? Stop! I don't have time for such nonsense. I have to go look for the summoning attribute. The girl twitched a little, and the Duke noticed. He asked, "What's the matter with her?" Great, thought the girl. She has a great chance to mention now. She says, "I want to see the pretty sparkles." Oops, she thought. I didn't think. My tongue is my enemy. Hearing these words of the girl, the maid said, "This morning Miss expressed her wish to visit the shrine." The girl began to feel nervous and angry as to why the maid had told the Duke everything. And in general, why say such a thing? He scolded me, thought the girl. What's going on? Are we going in there? Can you show me the family heirloom so immediately? Yes, and besides, the Duke still has a lot of paperwork to do. He probably doesn't have time. The Duke took the girl and carried her in his arms. What was he really up to? Had I let my guard down for nothing? From the author. You're too naive. In the world of love fiction novels, things are not that simple. We hope you're not too disappointed. Don't let your guard down, even in your sleep. Don't forget that this world is extremely dangerous. And so, back to the novella. The girl continues to be nervous and wondering what is going on, or if the Duke is actually a good man despite his status as a villain. Look at all this stuff, how shiny it is. So this is the sanctuary. It seems to hold not only treasures, but trophies as well. Wow, what's this? Must be some super important book, but I'm looking for something else. Although wait, a book! The notification window that popped up after I touched Duke's face said I was a reader. And then, when the details of using my ability were explained, I was addressed the same way. Reader. This is it. Gotta learn everything. And the girl asks, "Daddy, what is this book?" The Duke replies, "The sealing book." The girl interjects, "A sealing book? There's a devil sealed in there. Like that devil of a devil. What's he got me so pinned down for, girl?" "It's all right, miss," said the butler. Though it's a sealing book, there's nothing inside. You needn't be afraid. I'm not afraid, thought the girl. I guess I had it written all over my face again. The Duke thought I was scared too, so he hugged me like that. If there's nothing sealed in there, why keep it here? The girl asked. The Duke replied, because it is the first Duke's treasure. Wow, the girl said. It turns out this is a very ancient book. Amazing. Can I touch it once? She asked. You can't, yes. It didn't work, the Duke said, beginning to lead the girl away from this room. And the butler said, after all, it is a very ancient thing, and therefore extremely fragile. It's all clear with you. Okay, I'll back off today, the girl thought. In that instant, when she thought she was already giving up, the sudden task window popped up in front of her eyes again. What is it? Thought the girl. This window said, the best expression of reverence. Reader, you have excellent intuition. Congratulations on discovering the attribute of summoning. Except, you have encountered a problem. However, mountains exist to conquer them, and seas exist to part them. So minuscule an obstacle won't get you. Yet. A reader of love fiction novellas. In these cases, never give up. Show what you can do. Conditions. Convince Duke Farraton to give you the summoning attribute. Reward. A chance to win a raffle with a prize of 5,000 cash units. The girl was very angry and thought, they're crazy. I could die trying to get that stupid book. I should be more careful. Besides, I don't know how to talk him into it. The window showed the sign again. The penalty for refusing a task is forfeiture of life. The penalty for failing a task is forfeiture of life. Are you saying if I refuse, I die? The girl pondered. Try to get the book, Death. I won't try, Death. Stupid devil boy fooled me. Because the girl accepted the task, the window appeared again, and it said, the bonus for accepting tasks is activation of hints. Hints, the girl thought. First cripple and then cure. Ha! And how interesting. The choice of at least giving these clues. Whatever, though, now I'll be sure to get this book. The window says, you have accepted the assignment. The prompts will be activated during the assignment. Great. Give them here and preferably so I can choose these clues myself, thought the girl. She looked at Duke's face, waiting for the clues to appear, and saw that there was a heart drawn on Duke's cheek. Why is there a heart painted on the Duke's cheek? I think it suits him, thought the girl. Suddenly there was a voice. Sir, said the butler. Okay, stop. Now's not the time for that, since a heart appeared there. So I should kiss his cheek. I knew I couldn't trust that devil. The Duke said, what a strange face you have. It looks like a frog that has been strangled. A frog! Repeated the girl. Gotta calm down, she thought. It's just a hint, not a direct instruction. Surely we can do without the kiss. I just need to talk the Duke into it. I'll be fine. Daddy, said the girl, I promise I'll be very, very careful. You can only touch her once. The Duke said, I feel sorry for a book that no one has read in centuries. The girl says, I won't tie it on, I'll just stroke the spine. And she decided to look at him with such innocent eyes that he would only agree and asked, May I? But the Duke became even harsher, his arm around the girl so tightly that he could even break her ribs. She thought it was because she kept nagging. At that moment, hearts began to appear, a lot of them, not only on her face, but in the air and everywhere. The girl did not understand what was happening. Apparently there's no way I'm going to persuade him otherwise. She held out her hands to him. The Duke replied, What is it? There it is, the face of a man who has no idea what is about to happen. Let him remain in blissful ignorance for the time being, thought the girl. And the hearts kept showing up bigger and bigger, I guessed, that needed a kiss. She put her arms around Duke's neck and kissed his cheek. A butler was present in the room who said, Blessed beings, that's it, sir. Kissed. And the girl laughed and smiled at the Duke. Hey, his face is a brick, the girl thought even without emotion. There was some kind of cracking sound. When the girl turned around, she saw that the Duke had taken the book in his hands and was handing it to the girl. My book, the girl thought to herself, holding out her hands. The Duke first handed the book to the girl, but then put it back away. He said, It seems safe. But the girl was very offended by this. She thought he had decided to mock her, first giving it to her, then taking it away. Duke says, Even though nothing is sealed in there now, it's still a special book. It's unknown what might have been left inside. Oh, he's worried about me, the girl thought as she looked into his eyes. It turns out that the Hertzog didn't want to take it out. not because he was worried about the book's fragility, but because it might put me in danger," exclaimed the butler. "It is, after all, a family heirloom that was very dear to the first Duke if the missus tore the book." Just then he was interrupted by the Duke. "Is the book yours or what?" "That's right, she's Daddy's," thought the girl, "and he has the right to do whatever he wants with her." "Yay, Daddy, you're the best," the girl said, holding out her arms. "Better," repeated the Duke. "Yes, better," said the girl. The girl thought, "Well, give me that book at last," and held out her hands to it. At that moment the hearts around the Duke appeared again. "What a creep this demon is. When I catch it, I'll kill it," she thought. "I'll have to kiss the Duke again. I'll have to kiss the Duke again, but I'll have to do it for the cause." And the girl kissed the Duke again on the cheek. "I wonder if he enjoys kissing his daughter so much," she thought. "I mean, that's the typical sign of a loving father. The Duke even seems to have softened, or not. Or maybe it was just me, or vice versa. It's like he's even angrier now." But the Duke gave the book to the girl and she exhaled, thinking, "Well, at last I have the book in my hands." And then, as usual, a window popped up that said, "You have received the summon attribute. You have completed the prove your worth. Task: you have received the best expression of respect. Task: a reward of 500 cash units has been received. Received a chance to win a raffle with a prize of 5,000 cash units." "Ha!" the girl said, nearly dying from the exertion. And then just a second later, a window popped up that said, "Lottery for 5,000 cash units. You have won." How happy the girl was. She hugged the book and thought to herself, "Yay, money at last. I love money. I won." The window appeared again, and it said, "Viscount Urkel, Duke Ferreton's chief aide, admires you." "What?" thought the girl. "Heinz, Duke Phaeton's head butler, admires you. The maids of Duke Ferreton's estate admire you. Your influence in the Ferreton family has increased. A reward of 500 cash units has been received." "That's it," the girl said. "So, if I get positive reactions from others, I get a cash. But why would they admire me?" she wondered. Also, a window popped up again that said, "You get an extra reward for making Duke Ferreton's satisfaction reach the highest level." I wonder, the highest level of satisfaction with a face like the Duke's. And then the Duke asked, "Is that it?" The girl looked and replied, "Yes." The Duke went to leave the room, and the girl saw a window appear and something was written in it. But she thought she would check later when she was alone. They came into the Duke's room. "He came in here so naturally with me in his arms," the girl thought. "I can't wait to get back to my room and check on the lottery and the extra reward. It's also a book I'd like to read to learn more about my power. Investors are flocking to the Marquis of Terrank's lump mining business like flies to honey. But here's the weird thing. It is said that you, Duke Ferreton, is also invested in his business, though this is, of course, a groundless rumor," said the gentleman who sat in the room. "If you had not ordered us to keep an eye on the Marquis Terenko, we would not have known of such gossip. They were told to us by the Marquis Schrodel in a drunken frenzy," continued the gentleman. The next day, however, when he sobered up, he vehemently denied everything. "He ordered them to follow the Marquis of Terenko," thought the girl, for she had been sitting in the Duke's arms and had heard the whole conversation. "But we've already started to suspect something, handed over some documents to the Duke. Even though the Marquis of Terrank's stone mining is extremely unstable in terms of its results, the number of investors has not diminished. Here, take this list of investors." This list was in front of the girl's eyes as the Duke held it in his hands and read it. The girl tried to read it as well. Duke Delvaterne, Duke Iscamil, Marquis Schrodel, all like-minded powerful men, she thought. The Duke, who read the list, said, "There are only bigwigs on this list. Isn't it strange if there is no mana in the Mind Stones? It would be a waste of money," she thought. "Gentlemen," and continued, "for some reason they are certain that the stones in question are full of mana." The Duke thought, "The only way to indoctrinate them," and said, "It must be said that I, too, am invested in Terrank's business. Not to think that the Marquis Schroeder, being drunk, would lie." The Marquis continued, "From whom did he hear this nonsense?" "Gentlemen," replied everyone else, "Marquis Schroeder was talking some drunken nonsense, so we couldn't get the name of the informant. However, 2 others invested in the business at the same time as him. It's worth bearing in mind that the Marquis Schroeder is a regular at high-profile receptions, while the Duke of Delvaterne and the Duke of Camille lead relatively private lives. These three have never crossed paths with each other, so there are only two options, thought the girl. And at the same moment the Duke says, "That leaves only two options." Wow, we were thinking the same thing, thought the girl. Either those two invested without knowing about the rumors of my involvement in the business, the Duke said. Or the Marquis Terenko spoke to them personally, the girl said aloud. And there was a silence in the room, and everybody looked at the girl, and she thought, "Oh, did I just say that out loud?" "That's what my uncle said," she corrected herself quickly. One of the gentlemen said, "You mean the Marquis of Terenko?" "Yes," Uncle told some man in fine clothes, "that Papa had invested in his business." Those words of mine sounded too suspicious for a little girl, I guess, she thought, and continued. And as proof, my uncle showed him some kind of thing. Everyone started to ask, "What kind?" "It was a very pretty card, black and shiny," replied the girl. When she looked at the table that was in front of the gentleman, she saw the same map on the table and said, "Oh, exactly like this, and—" poking her finger at it. One of the gentlemen took the card, stood up and held it up to the girl, with the words, "Marquis Terenko really showed that man that card," and held out his hand to the girl. The girl took a leisurely look at the map and replied, "Yes, her very one." Then all these gentlemen began to shout among themselves. "He could only have done such a thing if he had gone completely off the deep end," said one of the gentlemen. "Is that the one he used as proof?" said another. "If there are actually mana stones being mined at the mines, everything will be fine. If not, we're in big trouble. It's the high society that will think that the Duchy of Fueroton is involved in a scam," one of the lords said. The Duke looked at the girl and said, "And when did you hear them talking?" The girl became worried. "Does he really suspect me?" The girl replied, "I was shining my uncle's shoes while he was talking to that man." The girl has a great many thoughts in her head at once. Tyrant father. With her daughter suspecting, if I make a mistake, death will surely await me. And then she continued, "That's when I heard it." One of the gentlemen interjected, "Did you learn it while you were shining the Marquis's shoes?" "As far as we know, all the checks sent by Duke Ferreton to the Marquis were supposed to cover your allowance, young miss." "No, that cannot be," said the girl. "And what are you? The Duchy sent the Marquis a fabulous sum every month." The girl had tears in her eyes. She said, "How could it be? My uncle said that they had no money to support me, so they didn't feed me much. The food they did give me had to be paid for by cleaning and washing dishes. I absolutely did everything my uncle ordered. Only on those terms did he allow me to live in their house." The room erupted with questions. "How could the Marquis do that to a little girl? I can't believe it." "Why don't they believe me?" thought the girl. One of the gentlemen said, "But the Marquis Terenko is famous for loving his daughter madly. Every day my uncle said my daddy left me without leaving me a penny," the girl said, but thought, "They still suspect me. I sound too mature. I only ate twice a day because I couldn't work for a third. When I didn't get my work done for the day I was fed once, and sometimes I had to starve," said the girl. "I shouldn't have interrupted the Duke in the first place," she thought. "I forgot I was supposed to sound like a little girl." The room began to discuss things. One said, "I can't believe it." Another said, "Is it possible to treat a child like that?" The girl was really scared. She was trying so hard to survive and didn't want to die. She cried and thought, "What now? I could die because of one badly timed sentence." She didn't know what to think of anymore and jumped out of the Duke's lap and onto the floor. Her book fell out of her hand. She was already just screaming. "But it's true, believe me. When I was shining my uncle's shoes like this—" She leaned over Duke's hoo boots and started rubbing them with her sleeves. "He gave that man a card, saying it served as proof. And my uncle also showed her to some grandfather and a man with red hair." "I'm telling the truth," the girl cried very hard. Then the Duke shouted, "Enough! How dare you question her?" The girl thought, "What? You asked me the question first. What's it about anyway?" "What? No, we didn't question her. We just all started making excuses." The girl sat up, calmed down, and couldn't believe her ears. Everyone fussed and started jumping up and begging for mercy. "Spare us, please," the Duke shouted. "No excuses needed." Because of you, I remembered what I saw in the Marquis' house when I came to get my daughter, the Duke said. What? Thought the girl. He didn't want to question me, it turns out. He was just worried. The Duke returned the girl's sleeve, lifted her from the floor, placed her on his knee, and said, "Get the tailor." The butler said, "Yes, sir." "Well, next on the agenda?" And they continued their working conversation. The hard day ended for the girl. While she sat in the study and attended the Duke's working conversation, she fell asleep in his arms. Come the next morning, the girl awoke with the thought that, "I fell asleep just now. W was in the Duke's study. Apparently Anna carried me to my room. By the way, where's Anna? Usually when I wake up, all the maids are already magically appearing next to me. But here there's no one. Well, if that's the case. This is my chance." The little book. The girl jumped up running from the bed and rushed to the table where the book lay, the same one the Duke had given her yesterday. "So," she said, "a little book that has outlived all the former Phaetons." Taking a closer look at the book, the girl said, "Yeah, it's almost falling apart, more like trash. I hope the pages don't spill out as soon as I open it. It's risky, of course, but it's worth a try, because readers love a fast-paced story." And the girl opened the book. From the open book once began to develop a bright, warm light. Bubbles appeared. Multicolored colors shimmered with different colors. The room became very bright and light. "Gee, this is a different book." The girl closed the book, and the cover changed somehow, almost sparkling, she said, "just like new. It's as good as new now. I won't get anything for it. After all, it's an attribute of the summoning, a family treasure of the Herkavy." "Aye, come on, what happened? What happened then, I'll worry," she said. "I wonder what's inside." The girl started to open the book. A spell of forbidden magic, the key to gaining divine power. And since it's a sealing book, maybe it describes a way to seal a demon, or a spell to summon a devil? Said the girl. "All right, we'll see. All in the name of rapid ability development." What the hell, it's empty. The book has blank pages. And then a window appears in front of the girl again, saying, "The seal of the summoning attribute has been lifted. The restriction on the use of the ability has been lifted." "Finally, I'll be able to use my ability," the girl said, excited. "I should read what else it said I had," she said. "You have one new assignment," the window that appeared said. "Way-worthy reader. Congratulations, dear reader. You have finally received the attribute of the summoning. A book. Readers are so called precisely because they read a lot. Someone who does not read enough does not deserve this status. Become a worthy reader. Prerequisites. Using cash units to summon a novella. Retrieve an ability from there, and use it. Reward 1,000 units, of course." "Why would they ask me to do something I was going to do myself?" the girl said. "Fine, I accept the assignment. But how do I summon a novella?" she said, but at that the window closed. "Appear, appear." The girl waved her hands so that the window would appear so she could ask the question. "The system wants me to do the very thing. That's what my experience reading love novels tells me. 100%, the girl said. She looked around to make sure no one was in the room. She waved her hands and said, "Heavens, give me the strength to endure the protagonist's stupidity. Help me not strangle her through the screen." And then a window pops up that says, "You just need to say the name of the piece you want to summon." "Shame on you, what a daba you are," the girl said and continued reading the explanation. "You currently possess a bronze-level ability. With it you can summon love fiction novels that you have personally read." "Well then," said the girl, "I was born into a family of rich people, but I still want to escape. With the ability from this novella, one would be able to stop fearing exile or death." The window popped up again saying, "Not enough cash." "Come on," said the girl. "I don't have enough money for anything here." She got frustrated. The sign said, "You currently have 1,000 cash units and a lottery ticket for 5,000 cash units. Do you want to use the lottery ticket for 5,000 cash units?" What she said, "I forgot! A lottery ticket for 5,000 cash units to use, of course," she shouted. Ta-damn! A window popped up that said, "Win-win lottery." In that window, the little devil waved at her, and she said, "What are you doing here, asshole? Is it really a lottery? A classic lottery?" she said, and she got really angry. No, you can't be negative. It's time to believe in the best." She closed her eyes and started asking for something. The window in front of her said, "You used a lottery ticket for 5,000 units." She only asked for 5,000 units, of course. Let 5,000 units of cachet fall out. "Congratulations," appeared in the window. The girl opened her eyes, looked at the window. It said, "You have won 100 units of cachet." Ah, she screamed. Even in her previous life, when others won 1,000 or 5,000 each, one didn't get 100 at most. But why is it the same here? She got upset, fell on her bed and started crying. "The box says, you currently have 1,100 cachet units in your account," the girl said. "Well, why get sick? Put pressure on a sore spot? I can do the math myself." She thought. "I doubt 1,100 cash units will be enough for the draft. At this rate, I'll never accumulate enough." Right. I kind of have another notice I didn't have time to read when we went to get the book. An inscription appeared in the window. "You will be given an additional reward for the Duke's satisfaction level reaching the highest level. Would you like to receive it now?" "Yes," she said. "A tally is being kept. A level. Possibly a reward. The counting is done. Your additional reward is the opportunity to rent a novella." What the girl said. "Would you like to summon a novella using the novella rental option? The validity period is 3 days from the time of summoning." The girl said in surprise, "No, but the entire work at once? It's better than getting 5,000 units, of course. I don't know what I did to please you, but I'm overwhelmed with gratitude." "As it turns out, accumulating cash is not an easy thing to do," the girl said, looking at the book. "So I'm saving my capital for now." And then there was a knock on the door. "Knock, knock!" "With your permission, miss," Anna says as she enters the room. And the girl quickly hid the book under her pillow. "We apologize. You woke up and we weren't around," the girl said offhandedly. "Anna said you must be hungry. You missed last night's meal because you fell asleep. But we decided not to wake you up." "Yeah, I didn't even notice I fell asleep," the girl said. "You must have been pretty tired, you know. No one expected this," Anna said. "And you fell asleep right in the gentleman's lap? To think of it," Anna said. "That I fell asleep? I fell asleep on the Duke's lap." "Oops, Daddy's lap?" the girl asked, embarrassed. "That's right, you slept so sweetly. First you pecked your nose as you sat up, and then you fell asleep on his lordship's lap," Anna said. "We were even scolded for trying to hold our laughter so obviously. That's why you carried me here, Anna," the girl said. "No. The master carried you in his arms to the bed himself." "I beg you to do it for him next time," said the girl. "Well, why?" asked Anna. "I don't want to be a burden to him," said the girl. "Well, what are you talking about?" said Anna. "You heard for yourself how he called a tailor for you yesterday. He's usually too lazy to take measurements for himself, so the butler had to make something up. This gentleman really cares about you." "I'm really fine," the girl said. "You see, it's just that the master doesn't know how to express his feelings. I used to think the Lord was perfect in everything, and there was nothing about him to pick on. He didn't need people close to him. Didn't understand those who cared about the people they cared about," Anna said. "Would such a man be considered perfect?" thought the girl. "However, after seeing his attitude towards you, I realized that he just doesn't know how to express his feelings," Anna said. "His attitude toward me," the girl repeated. "It's lately that we've been noticing sides of him we didn't even know existed. The members of the Duke's family are very different from ordinary people, after all." "Different from regular people?" the girl interrogated. "Why, what is the difference?" "She just didn't put it that way. You probably meant to say they're special by Nancy's rules. It's rare to find a family as outstanding as this one," Anna explained. "Something's not right here," thought the girl. "Just as I thought. The Ferriton family can't be called an ordinary family." "I'm hungry," the girl said. Anna asked, "Should we set the table right now?" The girl said, "Yes." But she noted to herself that she would have to find out more about the Duke and his family. The Marquis' office. "What? You've decided to withdraw your funds? But why the sudden change, Duke Delvatren?" "Sir, the Marquis of Schrodel has just been informed of his desire to withdraw from the list of investors. Starr has also said he wants to end the partnership." "Damn it!" Marquis swung his glass and slammed it into the wall. "Starr was the last of my investors. The Galleon Bank had rejected the loan request too. I've been a marquis for 5 years now, but I'm about to be struck by one sweep of the Duke of Ferreton's hand. Did the investors know that word of Ferreton's involvement in my business was a lie? How's that? Proof of that girl's maintenance check convinced them I wasn't lying. How could they have known? Here I could use our family's fortune. Oh no, if the truth should suddenly reach my father's ears. Make sure my father doesn't find out about this. Yes, sir, said the butler. I'll make it up to you, the Marquis said briskly. Call Tia to me. The little girl walked into her father's study. Daddy, she said. Oh, daughter. You must miss your cousin, right? Would you like to know how she is doing at the Duke's estate? Said the Marquis. Why would I be interested in her? Tia said. She's not like a relative of yours. Yes, and Raz left together just like sisters, said the Marquis. Sisters, me and her? Tia shouted. For that matter, let the bratty girl drive herself here. I know she should be the one to visit you, but do you think Duke Ferreton will honor her request? Said the Marquis. You're right, everyone probably hates her there too, Tia thought. Only clearly she had a good dream about her. There's nothing I can do. I'll have to go myself. God, I'm so kind, thought Tia. Marquis, my little girl shouted, is golden. See how she's doing and how the Duke is doing. Well, she'll be surprised when she sees me, Tia said. This little rat is sure to be over the moon. At this point, the girl was sitting in the dining room eating breakfast, and suddenly, for some reason, her ear itched. When the girl had eaten breakfast, she and Anna went into the room to draw. Miss, you are good. You draw so well. It's a pineapple, isn't it? Anna asked. Anna answered the girl. Actually, I drew you and me holding hands. Had enough with her hand over her face and said, You, miss. The girl thought it was with her. Did she guess that I just wanted to suck up to get the information she needed out of her? Just then, Anna jumped up with this drawing, and with tears in her eyes she cried out, Just look at this divine drawing. It will become the family treasure of my family, and we will pass it down from generation to generation. The girl said, Are you serious? Stop! Where are you going? And she shouted as she ran, bragging to the others, like bragging. You said yourself it looks like us. I don't know why, but it seemed to work. Maybe the other maids could use it too, she thought. Just then one of the governesses came into the room and said, Miss, it's time to go, I don't know. Or would you like to visit the glass greenhouse? What are you doing there, miss? And the girl just wondered. A glass conservatory right on the Duke's estate. Now I believe I've entered the world of the novella. The girl has rushed to take offense at this greenhouse. What? The maid ran after her and shouted, Miss, you mustn't be in such a hurry, you'll fall. And yet the girl fell while running. The maid who reached her asked, Miss, did you break anything? When the girl looked up, the Duke was standing in front of her. He asked, What are you doing here? The girl replied, I fell. He interjected, Why? I mean, why? She thought, You fell because... The governess who had reached the house said, Sir, little children often stumble and fall. She is too weak, said the Duke. The girl held out her arms to him with thoughts of, I want in his arms. The Duke took the little girl in his arms and walked with her in the other direction, not toward the greenhouse. The little girl stretched her arms to the governess and said, And my glass greenhouse. The Duke brought the girl to his study, sat her on his knee, and saw that her knee was badly torn. He said, Why is her knee so badly reddened? The doctor who came to his office said, You have to put some ointment on the wounds, then it will heal in a few days.